Um, all right, let's go talk. All right, guys. Hi, Specimen. New patch. Love a lot of the new cards. Brilliant to have shiny back, and just some of the art overall is absolutely brilliant. But I think there's a couple huge mistakes the game has made with this latest patch, and I do feel pretty bad, sort of ignoring all the brilliant stuff. Like really some brilliant and cool, interesting cards added. The first one is more of a subjective opinion, and that is just this whole. You guys probably already know. I won't talk about it too much, but the whole ability thing, I just think it's such a terrible idea still. I really do. I feel like what made me fall in love with Gwent was having Eredin leading the Wild Hunt units, Bruver leading the Dwarfs. And while I know that's not been the case in Homecoming a lot of the time, I feel like that wasn't an issue of actually the abilities being linked to a leader and a skin, but rather sort of just the game design and how the Dwarfs, for instance, were designed. So I really would love to see that reverted. I just feel like the only real benefit this gives you is being able to pick your leader and emotes, or your skin and emotes, and also monetization. It will probably give CDPR more money, as you can buy things like Radovid, which are really cool. And actually, I'm admittedly sort of like, oh, I wouldn't mind having that Radovid Africa skin. However, I just do strongly believe that this is having a negative impact on the feel and my enjoyment of the game, and I do strongly believe as well 36 new keywords is the last thing the game needs. I don't think it's a disaster. I don't think like these keywords are completely horrendous or anything, but I really do feel like it is actually quite a detrimental. It's going to have a detrimental effect on the game in the long run. Like just having those Eredin Wild Hunt battles, we came to Homecoming, we were promised your leader guiding your battlefield, but it's no longer a leader, it's just a skin. The intro scenes don't really make much sense. You're focusing on that leader skin. It just doesn't really feel very good to me, to be honest. Also, like another thing to mention is, why is Pincer Maneuver a Northern Realms ability? Like, it's just makes no real sense. Like whereas when you're Queen Calanth, it really does. As someone that came from the Witch universe, and it was a big appeal for me of having this leader leading my army, and I really do think that the negatives far outweigh the positives. I think in the short term, cool, yeah, I can pick any leader skin in the game. Honestly, I'm already sort of over it personally. It doesn't really matter to me that much. Just like before, when you could pick your avatar to have emotes, like that sort of had the same impact. I'm sort of over this already, to be honest. I've never been a fan, never will be. Do really think it is a massive error. Some of it actually, maybe, I feel like that's just a subjective opinion, and lots of people will tell me I'm wrong. It's important for Gwent to monetize the game, I agree, but I do feel like this is actually, it's about money and not actually about what's good for the game. I do not feel as though anyone can really argue that it's a good thing, like in terms of gameplay. Like, cool, yeah, you can pick your skin, makes sense. It's nice to see more leader skins around. But again, that's just, if the game was balanced better, you would see these skins anyway, right? If Unseen Elder decks were good, you would see Unseen Elder. Similarly, if, you know, any leader you name. Similarly with Bruver, well, I can now play Bruver with Dwarfs. Well, you should be able to do that without sort of this change happening. It's been the design of the cards that have meant that that's not happened. The next one I want to talk about is defenders are the most boring things I've ever seen. I like the idea of them. When I sort of first looked at them with my podcast with Zaid, which is Board Side, please do check that out. We do it every other week. It seemed like a really cool idea. Unfortunately, it's just it's just not good. Like, this is a deck I've been playing. Bear in mind, I'm down at like rank 6, so nothing too dramatic. I've actually ended up kicking Portal and Roach for the time being. Not sure if that's correct, but all it takes for me is to just use this Donomir of Troy with Vygotska, and yeah, it's just in a heap of trouble. Locks don't deal with it. You've got to either play Tool Removal or some Purify, and even if you do Purify this with leader abilities like Calanth, these are just going to be so easily abusable. At least with Avalak, for instance, it was pretty difficult to abuse because you have to have him down on the board for a turn. He's an order, muzzle, etc. really comfortably deals with it, whereas these things are just really filthy, and I feel like they're just, from what I've played today, just going to be a real problem and pretty binary and boring. Maybe you could have defenders if they're way more expensive and way more easy to deal with, but like in their current form, they're just pretty disgusting. And honestly, even though I'm playing like a Calamp deck with loads of my favourite cards, like it's so cool to have Shiny back. I'm playing like Procera and Dandelion. It's just so easy to abuse this defender, and it's just going to limit card design in the future. So yeah, I mean, another thing just worth mentioning that also really sucks is the fact that we've got cards like Abalak that are just like being given these really horrible pointless abilities that are never going to see play. I mean, another one's Summoning Circle. Like, why is Summoning Circle an artifact and not a special card? So yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame where the direction the game's going in. I feel like it's quite obvious that 4 expansions a year maybe needs to be cut back, because balance just doesn't seem to ever come out looking nice. Like, Mystic Echo is just really easy abusable, and I feel like the fact that you can now, I say now, you have been able to for a long time since Homecoming, use your leader ability and your player card in the same turn is just going to mean that abilities like Pincer Maneuver, abilities like Mystic Echo are just going to be super, super strong, especially when the cards that are getting printed just seem to be getting stronger. Provision's a great idea, but there's just too many cards that are just never, ever going to be competitive because they're just not quite there. But, I mean, let me know your thoughts, everyone, on these keywords. It's just, for me, it's just really... Nah, I just don't really... The novelty already is sort of worn off of me. Being able to pick whatever leader skin I have, I do feel like it's very much monetary, and if the game was designed better, you would see all these leaders anyway. Like, you would see Ada. The reason you weren't seeing Ada before is because her ability sucked. Same reason with Demavend. It wasn't a fact that, you know, it was simply a game design thing. It was all to do with the game design, and yeah, I feel like there's already enough things you can monetize through card backs, which were really good, and game boards. Do we really need these leader skins to be easily, I mean, you know, I just feel like models just aren't worth the hassle. Personally, what I would love to see is a big, brave decision being, you know what, guys, models, they were cool, they're alright, but actually, we're going to go back to our roots. We're going to put a 2D card leader art on the board, so it's there, it's visible, and then we're going to make alternative premium arts for these leaders that you can get through challenges, that you can get through purchasing as well. And I do feel like that would be something a lot more people would be interested in. Like, we all know, what does GWENT excel at? Well, it excels at its card art. So why have we got these admittedly somewhat ugly looking leader models? Like, this one's cool, but like, if you look at the majority of them, they're pretty ugly really when zoomed in on. Why are we monetizing these when it could be card arts? And I think the truth is GWENT's just gone through so many changes, they don't want to make it. But I strongly believe a lot of people at CDPR will feel the same as me, that actually the game's losing a lot of its flavour and its appeal by removing the leaders from their abilities. And I feel like the only real positives it brings is you can pick your leader skin, so there's more variety of leader skins that you see. That would be combated by better game balance though, okay? It just would. You would see leader skins, all the leader skins, if all the leaders were balanced. Also, another one, you can play dwarfs with Broover, you can play etc. That sort of idea. Well, again, that could be combated by better game design and better game balance. Another one is you could pick your emotes. Well, I mean, you could pick your emotes if your emotes came from your avatars and you had 2D card arts on the board. So I felt like all the positives could have been done in a better way. It just would have admittedly required a big revamp and actually to have done away with these 3D models. The reason they gave of changing it in the first place was these 3D models took too long to make, they're expensive. Well, we know they put, I don't know how many cards in expansion, let's call it 100, I feel like it's a bit more than that. And they have 100 premium cards that they can make, so surely it will just make more sense to have 2D card leader arts on the board, visible, just like original Gwent. I know it's like, yeah, okay, it's a massive change, but isn't that just what the game needs, in my opinion, rather than this? Someone in my chat called it lazy, this change, and I don't agree that it's lazy. I just feel like they're pretty overworked at the moment. You can just tell there's lots of things, like if you're to zoom in on your leader card at the moment, it shows like where Calamp's picture was, it just shows that ugly little picture, and then it still has Calamp's card text. Like, you can just tell there's a lot of rushing and crunch time going on, And I really don't want to like have a go at the developers or anything like that, but I just feel like this mistake is just going to be something that is always looking back for myself. And I know a lot of people I've spoken to in my chat, actually the strong majority, a lot of other content creators that I've spoken to don't feel the same as me, but actually overwhelmingly in my chat, people feel the same. Now that might be because a lot of people that are in my chat that I speak to are sort of more old school players from the beta days. But yeah, I mean, why is Pincer Maneuver a Northern Realms ability? It doesn't really make sense why, it just is. And yeah, I think it's a real shame, I do. The days of sort of Eredin leading that army of Wild Hunt, which, yeah, we've not had, but again, you could easily, if Eredin had a better ability or a different ability, wildcard cards will really work, you could have it. Same with Bruiser and Dwarfs. Like, I feel like that is a real shame that we're missing this, and I think the last thing Gwent needed was 36 new key words. If I was coming back to Gwent as a new player, this would just seem pretty, I don't want to say overwhelming, but just nowhere near as interesting as me picking a leader, maybe a character I like Eredin, and being like, yeah, cool, I'm Wild Hunt now, let's do this. This just seems pretty bad to me, and I can't say, as someone that doesn't play any other card games, I can't say if I was to pick up Gwent now, if I'd really want leader abilities, like, has such a big thing, like, would I have stuck around for as long? I'm not sure I would. I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm repeating myself anyway. The main thing anyway is get rid of these defenders. They are just going to be really problematic, really boring, real stale. Cool idea, poor execution. We need longer PTRs. The balance is terrible, generally speaking, and it's a real shame. It is. Yeah, I think a lot of work's gone into this expansion. There's brilliant new cards, but defenders, boring, right? Just problematic, boring, and this whole nonsense is just never going to be something that sits right with me. And unfortunately, I do feel like I'm now turning into like the negative Gwent guy, like sort of. I'm always seeming to be moaning about something, but I can promise you it's just because I really care about the game and I want it to do well. But yeah, let me know what you think anyway. I think it's important to get some sort of discussion going. Because personally, I feel as though I'm not a Gwent partner. I feel like a lot of Gwent partners actually share my opinion, but won't speak out through fear of, like, I don't know, backlash from, you know, I don't know. I just think that a lot of people share my opinion, but don't necessarily come out and say it. I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, this is just the worst idea I've ever seen. It is just really sad to see, honestly. I know some people like it, and that's cool, but there's got to be a better way of going about it. We've got to have a queen. You've got to have Queen Meve leading that sort of army. You've got to have Eredin leading the Wild Hunt. You've got to have Bruiser being the dwarf leader. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Let me know what you think. Game's pretty fun. It's just these defender things are pretty obnoxious. And as you can see, we still got this classic bug. No, yeah, let me know what you think. And bye. Do look after yourselves. Okay, see ya. Nice stream.